Today, I will be sitting and talking with a gentleman whose very voice and presence commands a lot of attention to the screen that he's in and to the stage that he's on. The one and only Chacko Vadaketh. So get ready for a high-impact conversation as we dissect the drama of Malaysia performing arts.
And so Singapore, then they set up the National Arts Council,
Yep.
and they provided, they brought government and private corporate funding together,
Yep.
and then they give it out to theatre companies. So if you're a established theatre company, or you can show that you're willing to work and stuff,
Yep.
they will provide you with housing, to house your offices, maybe rehearsal studios, and then there's funding to put on shows. So it's very much a vibrant industry now in Singapore.
Correct.
And people can earn a living full-time from the arts, which hasn't really happened here.
Because I think it was a conscious and calculated effort from the Singaporean government to do this.
Yeah, they had a long-term vision. They built the Esplanade Theatres on the Bay.
I was going to say,
And I actually went down for the opening of Esplanade Theatres on the Bay and wrote an article for The Star and compared that to Istana Budaya. And Istana Budaya is an amazing theatre. It's got such wonderful facilities. I've seen a production of Phantom of the Opera there.
Okay.
I co-produced the Opera, and we really used so much. You have stages where you can rise and sink, and pits, and deep wings where people can come and bring on elaborate sets, etc.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was built, and at the time it was built on Tun Razak, opposite the General Hospital. There's nothing else there.
Now traffic is crazy even to just get there.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, I don't think traffic was particularly good. But then you look at Esplanade Theatres in the Bay, it's a destination in itself. Even if you don't want to catch a play, there are cafes, there are restaurants, there are bars.
Yep.
It's overlooking the bay. It's such a beautiful setting.
Yeah.
So people come for other things, and it's got the MRT stop there. It had, I can't remember, but I remember counting the number of bus routes that went through there. Istana Budaya at the time. Now at least there's the MRT station that's come up.
Yeah.
Is it TT Wangsa and for GH, and it's just there.
Yeah.
But at the time, there's only one or two bus routes, and people said, "Oh, you have to go to GH, get off the bus there, then walk through GH, and then cross over the overhead crossing to get to Istana Budaya."
It just sounds so much to just go watch a show.
Yeah, so it's not practical.
Yep.
If you're a student on a low budget, and then at the time we didn't have Grab, and our taxi services were a nightmare. That was
Right.
one of our. It's just so hard to get a taxi, and half the time you ring for a taxi, you say, "No taxi," bang. You just ask, "Can you come to Ampang?" The moment you hear Ampang traffic jam, no. So if you want to get a taxi, you can't. At least now with Grab, I think that's changed a lot.
Yes.
And I think our public transport has improved a lot. But this is going back many,
Yep.
decades. And so that, and you had Istana Budaya, it was a nice idea to have kind of an arts precinct. So Istana Budaya, you had the library, the National Library, and then you had Balai Seni Lukis Negara. So they're all in a row. So they're all it's nice to have that in one area,
Yeah.
but how do you get there,
But it was a conscious decision. See, if you look at the Esplanade, they consciously set out to be a globally recognized platform for the theatres.
Yeah, I think they thought things through about the location and how people are going to get there, and that you can't have just the theatre. So Istana Budaya, there's just the theatre, and there's kind of like a cafe or a canteen, and that's it.
Yes, correct.
And whereas, Esplanade, and then from the Esplanade, you can go through an underground link and you're at Raffles City, like a lot of other options within walking distance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the, downsides. But now it's changing and it's improving. So hopefully it's
As in
Istana Budaya and the options there when it reopens. Good. And, people have, and then I think Taman Titi Wangsa has kind of taken off so at least there are lots of stalls and things there.
Right. I hope I don't sound like a pessimist when I say that. I think back in I don't know when the theatre scene started to grow in Malaysia, but I'm going to use the early 90s as my knowledge's benchmark. I think it was growing, But for some reason in between, in the middle, the growth was stunted. I don't know for what reason. Was it because of cultural policy, regulation?
Well, I think a major thing that's happened is, back in the day, we had our own ministry. We had a Ministry of Culture, Arts and Heritage.
Yep.
Which then got pushed under Ministry of Tourism.
Yes.
So now it's Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Art. MOTAC, right? Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture.
Okay.
MOTAC. So it's kind of, some people say it's like, we've become the Anaktiri of tourism. And tourism is the one that gets the high profile. And you just think of Ministry of Tourism and people tend to forget there's also arts and culture.
Correct. But they can tie these two things together, art and tourism. Which is what Singapore is doing. And I think a lot of other countries.
No, but I think tourism and the arts, you have a National Arts Council. The arts is given a lot of weight and a lot of prestige. Whereas today now, we've become like a department. The whole of the arts is a department under Ministry of Tourism.
Okay.
So the emphasis, before we had a Minister for Culture, Arts and Heritage. Yeah, there was a whole ministry. So there's a ministry. Rais Yatim was minister for a long time.
Right,
Sheikh Kadir was minister for a long time. So there was a lot more kind of, that gives it more prestige, gives it more importance, more standing. Whereas now it's tucked under tourism, and people hear about the Minister of Tourism, good and bad things, but he's known for Minister of Tourism, but you don't know him as a Minister for Culture Arts. He's not promoting. Sure. I think the Deputy Minister might be, the focus is that, but we don't see much of it. There's Rais Yatim, at that time you saw a lot more focus on the arts in that sense.
Yes. And, even if I come into the arts in terms of the film scene, the only artist that I can remember from yesteryears was P. Ramlee. And the gentleman was really, really famous. But I cannot name someone today. Maybe it's because I'm out of touch with the local film scene. I think the last movie I watched and was very impressed was, oh dear God, I forget the name.
Abang Adik? No.
Abang Adik was one brilliant movie. That was really, really good. No, the other one had a John Wick style of making the movie, Blood Brothers.
Oh yeah, that's just come out. Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
very good. I was very impressed by its production value.
There are some really fantastic films. I think Malaysian films are now making a mark.
Yep.
Was it last year? Abang Adik, many felt was like the best film out of Southeast Asia. Yep. It was a submission to the Oscars. Yep. And so on. So
I also want to mention Jagat also, but Jagat was made a while back. But now it's sort of getting prominence in film festivals.
Yeah. I mean, it did, and then now he's got two films
coming out.
Sanjay has got two films coming out.
Yep.
Actually, they've come out. One is coming out this month. I think it's come out already, and then another one will be next month.
Yep.
So he re-released Jagat in October.
Yes, correct.
And so so I think the film scene is quite exciting. But again, now because of Netflix and things, you're competing globally, so even TV shows and things, people have an option.
Correct.
So a lot of people say, I don't watch local TV, I don't watch local films, but it's changing as well, because now these films are on Netflix.
You can
suddenly
see it,
people all over the world can watch it as well.
I mean, now I do see Malaysian content on Netflix, and that's very good. But growing up, if I'm going to talk about the TV shows, I mentioned things like Pipai Mai Tang Tu, Kopitiam, Jangan Ketawa. I don't know whether even before when Netflix and Amazon Prime came into the market, I don't know if there was something that I could now tell you, that's a Malaysian content that I watch. Even if it is not entertainment, there was things like Kisah Benar, Majalah Tiga.
But that again, because we didn't have anything else to watch, because it's TV1 through, so everybody watched the same shows, and be it American or Malaysian, we, like every evening you'd sit and whatever was given to you, you would watch, and some of it was very good and very fun.
Right.
Whereas now, you don't have to watch local TV.
Yes.
So I think that's also because Malaysia is multilingual, so the English-speaking community tend to watch American shows or maybe some British shows.
Yep.
But the Malay community, so like they watch the Astro shows and there's TV2, TV3.
Right.
But that, again, they say is a particular segment of the Malay community.
Okay.
And that's your target audience.
So can I say then it wasn't exactly the streaming platforms that maybe distracted people from Malaysian content, because it could have also been Astro. Because Astro started to provide content.
Because then Astro gave you so many choices, so you didn't have to watch local TV anymore. Because
I think streaming platform came into Malaysia about, I want to say, 10 years ago.
I think with Astro, then you had HBO, everything was at your fingertips.
Correct.
So you didn't have to watch local stuff. And but also, I think, I remember I co-wrote a series called Sadiq and Co. It was at a law firm, so it was kind of, and it was really a cool series with Tony Yusuf as a young, handsome lawyer, and we had some top names in it, and some interesting issues, and it was technically Malay, but actually it was like, I would say almost 50-50 Malay English, because really lawyers amongst themselves, at that time especially, and you tend to speak in English, and although the trial and stuff would be in Malay, but there's a lot of English used in it as well. But it wasn't marketed, so people didn't know. People just think, oh, it's another local Malay show, and the English community, which is kind of yours and my community, wouldn't watch it. But if they knew it was there and gave it a chance, I think they would have watched and enjoyed it.
Certainly. We spoke a lot about marketing, I think. A lot of this has got to do about how is this content communicated to people. Do you think our marketing is better today? Because I drive on the highways, you see billboards of Malaysian content. On the MRTs, there's posters on Malaysian content. I know that they can do more, but do you think enough is done?
No, I think not enough is done. I think, it's all about money. So even for films, one of the big issues is like independent movies, they tend not to budget, or they just run out of budget. So by the time they're just so hell-bent on getting the movie finished, by the time it's finished, there's nothing left for marketing, Right. And I mean, I was on the board of Finas, and Finas does have some funds for marketing, so you can apply for the marketing grant and stuff. But often that tends to get overlooked. So then you might have actually a very good film, but then you don't do the marketing, then it'll die, because if people don't know it's out there, and maybe have a taste of it. So the trailer has to be very good.
Yes.
It has to make people want to watch it, etc. But it has to, and there's so many avenues where it can go. So getting an interview, maybe in one, say The Edge or something, and you think, okay, you've done it, but that's not enough. I think you've got to boost it on social media, etc. Sure. And in Singapore, I found when I'm doing a show there, you do have much more, it's much more high profile. So like when I was in, this is years ago, when I was in Mr. Kiasu, the TV series, I mean, I would be on bus stops and things, like the Kiasu cast would be on bus stops, and you never really saw that here. But they provided that. I don't know how much funding there was. I think there's support from the government, and maybe they put pressure on advertising platforms as well, that you have to give a certain amount of space to the arts or lower rates to the arts. Something has to be done to allow, because the arts community was short of funds, so something has been done to help boost it up.
Yep, I think that's really very helpful. In this episode, we've heard Chacko Vadaketh tell us that it is vital for Malaysian artists and companies to gain visibility and reach audiences beyond just the black box. The truth is, whether you're staging a play or running a business, if people can't find you, you can't thrive. And that's where PRR Elite steps in. PRR Elite company is going to help you if you want to either create or enhance your digital presence, whether it is creating a website, social media management, SEO management. PRR Elite has it under their roof. So PRR Elite is more than just a company that creates a digital presence. They build your stage. From advanced SEO that gets you noticed on Google to social media management that brings brand loyalty, PRR Elite assesses and then improves your entire online presence. So stop whispering your brand message and stop whispering the value that you bring to people. Let PRR Elite take your features and take your values and shout it across the world through digital platforms. So if you are ready to turn your clicks into clients, then visit PRR Elite today. I will leave the link to this company in the description box below. As Chacko Vadaketh found his spotlight, find your spotlight with PRR Elite.
I think also, like in the West, and I think in Singapore and things, they've started realizing that you can't just say, oh, you put in $1 million ringgit, you've got to see $1 million ringgit back. It's intangible benefits,
Right.
So if, say, Qantas is sponsoring Opera Australia and they have a big show at the Sydney Opera House, and Qantas' name is up there, they may not get how many millions they put in back.
It'll be intangible.
But it's their prestige, it's their status, how people perceive them to be, and at the same time, it's promoting Australia. So, say Qantas, and Opera Australia of a certain, it's world class these days. Then people start thinking, oh gosh, there's the arts is there.
Okay.
I think I told you once back in the day, in England and stuff, we used to say, what's the difference between Australia and yogurt? And I'd say, yogurt's got more culture. But that's changed, and Australia also, I think, is a story or a study that we should look at. How did they make that happen? They also set up a National Arts Council, or it's now called Arts Australia, something like that. And they really looked at how do we fund the arts, how do you bring it up, and the festivals, the Adelaide Festival has become one of the top festivals in the world.
Correct.
So it makes arts vibrant.
Right. And we don't have these things here for any particular reason?
I think it's just part of it is whether there's government support. People need to, want to do it. I think the Rainforest Music Festival is a big success story in Kuching, or outside Kuching. The Georgetown Festival has taken off.
Yes, correct.
That's good.
But not that I have facts to support this, but in one of my attendance to the Rainforest Music Festival, I can't remember who I was talking to. They were saying that the organizers themselves were having some trouble in continuing this again because of funds. So I think we, as the nation that does, especially in the especially in the performing arts sector, we always have good beginnings, but I'm not sure whether we are able to carry through, which is why I say that I think its sustainability is quite fragile. What an absolute masterclass. My biggest takeaway from this whole conversation that I had with him is Malaysia is creatively rich but needs better structure, funding, and a professional pipeline. If you enjoyed this conversation and think that somebody could benefit from this, do share it with that person, because you don't know who you're going to help. If you know somebody who is looking at exploring a career in performing arts in Malaysia, then do share this podcast with that person. Chacko's thoughts, Chacko's insights and opinions could be of value to him or her. Until next time, this has been Unfiltered Business. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Josh G.